Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC and the Listowel Squash Courts. We've got an action-packed episode. Longtime Toronto Sun Blue Jays beat reporter Rob Longley sits down for a chat with yours truly about the Blue Jays and their season so far, trade deadline expectations, and the one, the only, the incomparable Shohei Ohtani. Is he putting together the greatest individual season in league history? We'll chat about that. Then Clarkey jumps on. We'll chat a little bit more baseball, a little bit more Leafs offseason, goaltender arbitration filings, and finally, we'll make open picks, the Open, coming up this weekend with our buddy Ian Doig. That's next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Ryan Drury here, pleased to be joined by a great guest, friend of the show, longtime Toronto Sun Blue Jays beat reporter, Rob Longley, back on the show to chat some ball. Rob, how you doing, my friend?
Good, Ryan. It's been a while. It's been a lot happening in this season, and obviously a lot left to happen. It's going to be very intriguing to see what we see going from here on in.
Well, and that's why we figured it'd probably be a good time to check in with our buddy Rob Longley. So here you are, and obviously you're right. It's been a wild year and a lot of ups and downs for the Toronto Blue Jays. As they sit right now, they currently have a record of 53-41. I mean, they're well over the 500 mark. I guess the problem is the inconsistencies that they had, particularly in May, left them quite a bit behind the division leaders in a division that is so wild. What were your impressions of, I guess, the first half leading into this All-Star break for Toronto?
I guess it depends on how you want to approach it. If you want to go the glass half full approach, they had a really tough schedule. They played a lot of division opponents. They started with 10 games on the road. They had some difficulties in the rotation, obviously, with Alek Manoah. And the offense never really got untracked. Yet they still had a decent record. They're still 2 games better than they were after this amount of games last season. So all things considered, really not too bad. But if you want to go with the glass half empty point of view, this team has never really been able to develop some serious momentum yet in this season. And I think if there's any concern for me, that it would be that. It's that they've not yet shown the signs of consistency that many expected of them. A lot of people thought that this was going to be a division winning team, a team that would contend for the American League East title. And, they may well yet do that if they kick into gear. But from that standpoint, I think the first half was somewhat disappointing. Obviously some difficulties in the rotation. We never would have expected Alek Manoah to have the type of season that he's had, somewhat balanced by the fact that Jose Barrios and until recently, Yusei Kikuchi have been very strong, and Kevin Gausman has been Kevin Gausman. But to me, the biggest negative would be that we're just not seeing the run production that we would have expected. All the supporting numbers suggest that they should be scoring more runs. They're getting a lot of hits. They're not hitting for power like they were last year. But they're not scoring runs, and until they start to do that, it's an ongoing concern for this team. Defense has been better. I suppose there's a little bit more balance in the lineup, but not enough power, not enough run scoring. And I think as we get deeper into the season, I think that's the thing that we have to look at the most. Maybe they could take advantage of a slightly easier schedule going forward until we get to the last 3 weeks of the season when you sort of meet the division opponents again. And that would be the other negative. How, the results against the American League East so far have been pretty much deplorable, and a big reason why the Baltimore Orioles have a healthy lead on them, as well as the division leading Tampa Bay Rays.
Rob, yeah, that's a wild thing about it, is this division. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this with this? Like, we all know that this is probably the most competitive division in baseball. It has been for a while, but this is absolutely nuts. I mean, the Yankees, as we record this on Tuesday, the 18th, the Yankees are in last in the division at 50-45. Everybody in this division is over 500. It's incredible. Then you got Boston, Toronto right there in third, who are currently holding down the second wild card spot, one game ahead of the world champion Astros, who have the third one. They're only 5.5 back of the division leading Rays. At one stage in this season, heading into June, Rob, they were 12.5 back of the Rays, who got off to a 27-9 start, who looked like they were going to win 110 games laughing. They're only 31-29 in their last 60. Like, there is an opportunity here for the Jays, who have won 8 of their last 9 as we record this, heading into this series against the middling San Diego Padres. There's a real chance here, like you said, that they could potentially catch the Rays. There's loads of time.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Do you think there's a more realistic chance of them catching the Tampa Bay Rays than there was of them catching the New York Yankees last year, even though the Yankees did swoon a little bit towards the end of August and into September? I would say yes. I mean, I think many people expected the Rays to be sort of a slightly poorer version of the Rays that we've seen the past couple of seasons. And maybe that's what we've been seeing from them over the last couple of months. And with plenty of games left against Tampa, there's plenty of opportunity for the Jays to run them down. And who knows, man, by the end of August, or the middle of August even, they could be a game or two behind them if the current trends continue. I suspect the Jays will continue to do what they've done well, and that seems to be winning series. They do a good job of at least taking 2 of 3 most weeks, most series that they're involved in. And if you add that up over the next 10 series or so, all of a sudden you got a team that's very, very seriously challenging for first place. And, I don't want to get too crazy in terms of optimism because they've won 8 of 9 and because they swept the Arizona Cardinals, who, for my money anyway, from what I saw on the weekend, were seemed
the
to be a very
Diamondbacks. We knew you meant the Diamondbacks.
I always say that. The Rattlers. We should just call them the Rattlers.
Yes.
For a team, I thought they were somewhat of an overrated team, and they essentially handed the Blue Jays a lot of runs over that 3-game series. So I don't want to read too much into a 3-game series win over the Arizona Diamondbacks, just as I don't want to read too much into, as we record it, 1 game upon his return of Alek Manoah. But at least they're trending in the right direction now. And if there was ever an opportunity to have that leap into consistency, I think it's right here, right now. They're still doing some things that are annoying. They don't seem to be able to put away teams, right? How many 3-2 games and 4-3 games and 2-1 games has this team had? Too many of them, right? And given all that, the bullpen has done a heck of a job, despite being overworked like that, because very rarely do they have a night where they can sort of take it easy. So I think this offense, much of where they're going to go in the second half is going to be dependent on the offense. We were told prior to the season that losing Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. wasn't going to be a huge issue because they were going to manufacture runs and they were going to save a lot of runs saved by their defensive improvements. And to a certain extent, that's happened so far. But they're going to have to start scoring runs more consistently, and they're going to have to start hitting anyway, with runners in scoring position. And if they can do that for any level of consistency, I think they could go on a serious run and then become division contenders.
I tend to agree, Rob. We're chatting with Toronto Sun Blue Jays beat reporter Rob Longley, and I agree. The runners in scoring position has been the number one thing that everybody is badgered about, and there's been a lot of criticism of the hitters themselves, Vladdy, Springer, some of these guys really not playing up to their potential. Obviously, there's been a lot of heat on Martinez, their hitting coach, and all these different struggles. Matt Chapman's really tailed off from a hot start. However, they're playing defensively better than they have in a long time, really, since those Anthopoulos teams that went to back-to-back playoffs. They're playing really well, and they're getting great pitching. I mean, their bullpen, you said it, which I would still love to see them make a major upgrade there, just because why not? But right now, over the last 2 months, they rank top 5, if not first, in every major category, including first in opponent batting average and runs given up. It's incredible what this bullpen's done. And Chad Green hasn't even joined up yet, which is really, really something. And the starting rotation's just been immaculate for the most part outside of Manoah. And we're hearing Hyunjin Ryu might be an appearance maker potentially in August. And even if you get him out of the bullpen, who knows? I will say this about the batting. Yes, there's been some disappointment there, and I'd love to put this to you, and I wonder if you agree with me. I can pick out probably 3 or 4 batters, and we're strictly talking about batting here, that have played up to or even exceeded preseason expectations, and that'd be Bo, who's playing up to, if not potentially exceeding, because of what he did last year. He's been even better. There's only 8 batters that have more home runs than him in the American League, and he's hitting .317. Whit
Right.
Merrifield, who has been unbelievable and easily their most consistent base runner, and he's stealing bases, providing some pop. Danny Jansen, and to a lesser extent, Kevin Kiermaier, who's actually provided some pretty clutch hits for them. Outside of that, their hitting lineup has been pretty disappointing. Agree, disagree?
Yeah, I agree. And, I guess Kiermaier is starting to tail off a little bit, but all very good points, Ryan. And so what happens then if Springer starts being the leadoff guy that he's been throughout his career? And what happens if Vlad Guerrero Jr. continues the momentum that he had out of the break and becomes a strong second half hitter at the plate? And what if Matt Chapman can be the guy that we saw in April, a guy who worked a lot on his swing during spring training and seemed to be able and was getting the results early in the season, but has been inconsistent since then? What if those 3 guys start contributing? And what if Alejandro Kirk can finally hit a home run or 2 like he was doing last year? I mean, they kept him for a reason. They kept him for his bat, and he's been mostly, negligible at the plate. So if they can get just a little bit more from each of those guys, or, collectively, all of a sudden you have a fair bit more offense. Is it a leap of faith that the guys you all mentioned continue on the path that they've been on? Not necessarily. Bo Bichette's been the most consistent hitter in the American League for the last 3 seasons, and is showing why he's one of the best hitters in baseball again this year. I really like the stuff that Danny Jansen brings. I think really two off seasons ago he changed his approach, and he had a fair bit of success with it last season, but he got injured. He had a couple of injuries, spent 2 different stints on the injured list, and that sort of dulled the momentum. But what we're really seeing from him is a guy who not only can hit for power, but he's kind of got a little bit of that clutch gene in him, right? How many late game home runs and doubles and cashing in runs have we seen from Danny Jansen? And if you can have a guy like that in your lineup towards the bottom of it that can turn it over to those guys at the top, then he could be a very valuable addition offensively as we get to the as we keep moving along here. A word on the bullpen. I couldn't agree with you more in how valuable they've been, and really in a lot of ways underrated. You could have sent Tim Mesa to the All-Star game. He's been one of the best relievers in baseball this year. It's just that you don't send non-closers, it seems, to the All-Star game. But that guy's been money each time out. Jimmy Garcia seems to have sorted things out a little bit over the last 2 or 3 weeks. He looked so good in spring training. I expected that he would be a huge part of that bullpen this year, and was wildly inconsistent early on, but now seems to be hitting his form. Eric Swanson's a good leverage guy, and you 100% nailed it. If Chad Green comes back, and all indications are that he's on a similar track to Hyunjin Ryu, all of a sudden that will feel like not only a fresh arm, but it'll feel like one of those trade deadline acquisitions, because he's probably not going to join the lineup until right around August 1st, right? So even if you don't trade for another arm, which I think they'll try to do, you can't have too many in that bullpen. But if you get Chad Green anywhere near the form that he was throughout his Yankees career, all of a sudden you've got a really valuable arm, and you might have one of the best bullpens in baseball. I mean, obviously you'd like to see, if you're going to add an arm, you'd like to see somebody who could really, one of those explosive arms, which the Jays don't have a whole lot of. Romano will get you 97 and 98 every once in a while. Obviously, Nate Pearson has been, for the most part, pretty good, and he'll give you 100 and 101, 102 occasionally. If he could continue on his path, he could be a very valuable 8th inning guy. I don't know if they trust him 100% in those situations just yet, but he's made some huge strides this year. certainly getting more comfortable than he's been at any point in his big league career, and seems to have embraced that role in the bullpen, and not just an early inning guy. They're not really shy about putting him in 6, 7, and 8 if they need to. So something to keep an eye on. But that bullpen, as you mentioned, Ryan, has been one of the quiet, real assets of this team throughout the season so far.
Well, and for Nate Pearson, I mean, Rob, I think it's pretty simple. He's finding the strike zone. Like, he's throwing the ball for strikes, which is huge. But on that note, we're talking about how well this bullpen's performed, and almost in surprising fashion. That's my fear for the playoffs, that they're going to look at it and go, okay, well, Chad Green's going to come back, and that's a great addition if he can be even somewhat what he was as a Yankee. Like you pointed out, maybe we don't need to do anything. And then in the playoffs, some of these guys, one or two of them, cool off, and they were playing way above their heads. And then you've got nobody who's capable of providing that in the playoffs. That would be my fear. And I want to propose something to you here. It's coming up near the trade deadline, so let's talk about it. I mentioned this on our show a month or so ago to our buddy Steve McAllister, and I'd love your thoughts on this. Yes, he's making a lot of money, but I don't care. This is the Blue Jays we're talking about. They have nothing but cash. I think there's a guy out there that you could go acquire who's a great story this year. He's one of my favorite players. And he's on a team that is absolutely and deserves to be in sell mode outside of some of their young stars. I'm calling the Chicago White Sox and saying, what can we make work for a Liam Hendriks return to Toronto? I think that he would be exactly what they need. A motivated guy who just kicked cancer's ass. It's a great story. I loved his speech at the ESPYs. He's a motivated dude. He comes back in his first start, throwing 100, striking guys out. And he's one of the best closers in baseball. And now you've got some real options with Romano, where you take so much pressure off that guy and can give him some rest down the stretch. And then you've got Hendriks in there, the angry kangaroo in the playoffs. What's your opinion on that? Because I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I love it too. And he will be available, and the cost might not be that much. I love it for all kinds of reasons. One that I alluded to is that they do need another high velocity arm in the back end of that bullpen, a guy who can throw it 100, 102. Jordan Romano's a workhorse. He can handle a lot of stuff. But the last thing you want is for him to be getting tired down the stretch. Candidly, he told me that in game 2 of that wild card series last year against Seattle, that he didn't have his best stuff. Like he wasn't making an excuse that he was tired or anything like that. But he was used pretty heavily all season, and particularly down the stretch. So they're pretty much one dimensional at that end of it. In a lot of ways. Like, I do like what Eric Swanson brings, and I do like some of what Jimmy Garcia brings, but to really have another high octane arm right at the end of it, and a super motivated one, a guy who's familiar with Toronto, a guy who would be, he's like anybody who's playing for the White Sox right now is pretty much languishing through another meaningless season. Like, what a rejuvenative season this would be for him, not only by kicking cancer's ass, but to come back and play meaningful baseball in August and September and into October, and really be a great story for one thing, but really a great addition to a bullpen that could use another arm like that. And I'm with you. Ross Atkins talks a pretty good game, and let's hope that he's consistent in what he says about not having you can never have too many arms in a bullpen. I believe that they will add at least one arm at the deadline, because they realize that while the bullpen has been lights out for much of this season, you can't have enough, and really it's September and October when you need all those dimensions in a bullpen that can literally win you ball games and literally win you series. And also, within a couple of weeks, that as we talked about off the top, within a couple of weeks, the division race might be an even more serious carrot out there for them to chase. So, yeah, I love the idea of them pursuing Liam Hendriks. It's hard to imagine what it would cost. You wouldn't think it would be a terribly high price, but it's something that they ought to be kicking the tires on.
Well, there's the thing, Rob. It's like there's the money thing there. He makes $18.5 million. However, because he makes that and it's on an soon to be expiring contract, I think that, we typically see in situations like that where the Jays would actually have some leverage in that trade conversation because they're going, well, look, we got to absorb that money and pay him out. So I don't actually think that it would cost them even potentially a B-level prospect and maybe some cash going the other way, which they're flush with. I think that it could be a deal that gets done a lot easier than maybe some think. Let's quickly talk about a deal that will not go down in that fashion. It will not be an easy deal, but it is the topic du jour of the baseball world, and that's Mr. Shohei Ohtani. Now, I know a lot of people would love to see him in a Jays uniform. I just don't think it's feasible because they're going to be, if they're smart, if Perry Manassian's smart, which you can debate whether that's the case or not, I'd be looking for at least 2 or 3 A-level prospects, which, let's just be clear, the Jays don't have. They have a bottom 20 farm system. Ricky Tiedemann's their best prospect. You'd be moving roster players in that deal, and I just don't think the Jays are in a position to do it as fun as it would be. Let's start with his season so far first. As we record this, 35 homers, leads the majors. It's ridiculous what this guy's doing. He's got a 3 ERA as a pitcher. Is this the greatest season in Major League Baseball history by an individual player, Rob?
It's certainly looking like it, right? I mean, all the home runs and what is he? Is he a better power hitter or is he a better pitcher? When you're having that debate, is there a better home run hitter in the American League right now? No. Is there a better pitcher in the American League? Well, maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to imagine a greater season in Major League Baseball history. And it'll be interesting with that in mind. It'll be interesting to see what sort of courting the Angels get around the deadline. Typically, it wouldn't be the kind of deal that the Jays would make because you'd be overspending for a very, very short term. I mean, unless you had some sort of confidence and indication that you could sign him to that ridiculously large long-term deal that it's going to take, which suggests that he'll likely end up with the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets or something like that, because it's going to be that high, right? When he hits free agency. It's tantalizing to think about it, but it's not the type of deal that the Jays tend to do, and B, I suspect that there'll be there'll be a fair number of offers for the Angels to dissect and go through. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. But if you were all in on one season, and I don't think the Jays are all in on one season, I think they're all in on more like 2 or 3. What an addition that would be, right? I mean, how many wins is that guaranteeing you down the stretch, and how many wins is it almost guaranteeing you in every playoff series that you're able to play in October?
It would be incredible. And yeah, what he's doing is just absolutely nuts. The fact that he's still pitching every 5th day. And for context, I saw a crazy stat the other day, Rob, that when Babe Ruth, in a season where he pitched more than 10 starts, over that span, he hit 2 home runs, which is outrageous. Yeah. Like Babe, yes, the Babe pitched and the Babe hit, but he typically did one or the other. It was very rare that he combined that level of success the way that Shohei is. The guy is a freak, and I watch every time that he's on the mound. It's unbelievable how he's elevated his pitching, let alone this power stuff. It's incredible. One last one for you, Rob. If there was one bat out there, because we'd love to see Hendricks, we'd love to see some form of power pitcher come in to help this pen down the stretch. If there was a bat, excluding Mr. Ohtani, that you could go out and target right now, who would maybe be somebody that you would think would be someone who would be quality to go and try and acquire right now?
Yeah, I've gone through, and it's hard to see. It's hard to see who's out there that would be attainable. Have you got any that jump out to you? Because, I mean, obviously they'd love to have a guy that they could put in the middle of the order, 5th or 6th, where the production tends to wane, maybe even 4th, because they don't have a true cleanup hitter. I don't think, anyway. Brandon Belt has been exposed from the time that he got here, and hasn't really hit with any sort of consistency. So they need somebody in there. But Are there any names that jump out to you? It's the market. I'm not sure how stout that market is right now.
It's going to have to take shape over the next couple of weeks, but there is a guy who was an all-star that has cooled off from a hot first half, but has been very good against left-handed pitchers in particular. I'd maybe be calling the Oakland A's and saying, what's Brent Rooker think of coming north of the border? He would be an interesting guy that honestly probably would not cost a lot. Like the A's would be trying to sell high on his value, but there's a guy that you could go after. You're really looking at some of those bottom end teams in the AL that you could pilfer. I mean, Detroit, is there somebody there that you could wrench free? Kansas City? Like, there are going to be quite a few sellers, and there's going to be options out there. But I mean, Brent Rooker, hey, when the Jays trade for Oakland A's, good things happen. We know this.
I was just going to say, and I know you, Mr. Athletics, but I mean, you know, what have they ever done? What have they ever got from the Athletics that have paid off? Josh Donaldson, Marcus Semien, Matt Chapman, and on and on and on, right? Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, and you know, guys that step in and contribute right away. And Rooker certainly is having, you know, he seems to, he's the type of bat that would fit that profile. And what would the price be? I mean, probably not ridiculous, right?
I wouldn't think so. And the other nice thing about a guy like Rooker, gives you some more outfield flexibility, if you will, and probably gives guys like Varsho and, more importantly, Whit Merrifield some rest down the stretch, where Whit Merrifield can get some extra rest and just play the infield the majority of the time instead of filling in when Springer's not in or Kiermaier's not in. Now you got a young guy who's 28 years old in Brent Rooker. You got some flexibility, which is never a bad thing. Rob, it's going to be an interesting...
I like Merrifield at second. I like Merrifield at second base more than the outfield. And so, yeah, get some depth out there and you keep him in the infield and or day off here and there to keep him fresh down the stretch. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I completely agree. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what this team does down the stretch here, heading toward the deadline. We always appreciate your insight. You can follow Rob on Twitter. He is the Jays beat reporter for the Toronto Sun. Buddy, we always appreciate your insight. It's great to catch up with you.
Great on my end, too. Too bad Clarkey's not here, but we'll catch him next time.
We'll get him next time. He's around. All right. Speaking of Clarkey, we'll be right back to talk about the Open Championship coming up. Of course, we got to make some golf picks with our buddy Ian Doig. That's going to come up next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Ryan Drury still here. Thanks to our buddy Rob Longley, and now joined, of course, by my favorite guy, my co-host. It's Clarkey. What's up, dude?
Well, I have a question. Like you cut me out of the Longley thing, and but one question for you: why do you look so different?
Okay, yeah. So for people watching the show that have a sharp eye, maybe you can't tell. I don't know how high def your TV is, right? You know, usually I'm looking a little more crisp, certainly a little more blue.
Yeah.
Than I am.
What's going on there?
That's because I'm back to using my my built-in FaceTime camera, because dear Kate, my Kate, she's, God bless her, she's running this entire production. It's actually a huge deal. You know, Clarkey, she's been a referee for a long time with the Ontario Ball Hockey Federation. Through that, it's nationals that are running as we speak. It's the National Ball Hockey Championships for all of Canada. So these are like provincial all-star teams that have converged on Mississauga, where the Steelheads play at that complex. She's in charge of the entire production. She was in charge of getting play-by-play people. Kate actually filled in and did some play-by-play herself today. Pretty unbelievable. She's talented. Getting all the cameras, the equipment, the broadcast schedule all figured out. That was all down to Kate. I guess she needed the converter plug, which I used to plug my nice camera in on my computer that Kate bought me, by the way. Big shout out to Kate here before I railroad her and throw her under the bus. That converter, which is also Kate's, so this will sound silly when I say it, she stole it. She took it from me.
Well, if it's hers, she didn't steal it. It's hers.
She took it from me.
Hers.
and didn't tell me she took it, and she didn't know that we were not done filming the show. She thought, oh, Ryan talked to Rob Longley. What a great interview about the Blue Jays. Follow Rob on Twitter. Yeah. And he's done. He's done for the week, and I can go to Mississauga and take this converter. And lo and behold, I'm in slightly less higher definition.
And it's a great facility. I spent many days and nights at the rink in Mississauga watching,
of course,
not only the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors, but also the Mississauga Steelheads. As we billeted some players, we billeted, of course, Stuart Percy,
and
a Finn named Mika Partanen, who's still playing, I think, somewhere, and Doug Harvey, not the Doug Harvey, but Doug Harvey. So spent many days there. I obviously had season tickets watching the majors on their Memorial Cup run with Coach Dave Cameron, and he didn't win. He didn't win the OHL championship, but because they hosted the Mem Cup, they got to the Mem Cup, and they didn't win that either. So it was kind of disappointing that year, not winning.
Yeah,
either.
That's always a bummer. A bummer, sir. And you know what? I don't know that will happen this year. Usually when the host team wins and they don't get through their playoffs, people can be critical. We saw our buddy Brock Byer do that with the Windsor Spitfires back in the day. I have a sneaky suspicion this year on that topic that the Saginaw Spirit, they're pretty good. And I think they actually, if they don't win the OHL title, which they will be a contender in a weekend and more soft Western Conference with some contenders coming down, I think that they could make a double run. They could make a run at the double, my friend.
I was in Saginaw. Remember I said I was going away?
Yes, yeah, you were right down there. Did you take a drive by the rink?
We kidnapped Sue and we went for a little drive. Stayed in a tiny home in Michigan, and then we went to Mackinac, and we went through Saginaw and went to McDonald's there. And let's just say I'll never go back to that McDonald's. It was not a pleasant experience whatsoever. We just went in for breakfast. We went in for breakfast, and it was not a pleasant experience. Just to say the least, it was not fun at all.
Yeah. Well, your first mistake was going to McDonald's for breakfast.
I know, but it's
the worst meal.
Strange town.
Sure.
Where are you going to go? Right. There is a lot of Tim Hortons down there, but we didn't see one when we were hungry for breakfast. But anyway, so I was in Saginaw. I was close to Flint as well. Well, there you go.
You didn't drift over that way, eh? No. Yeah, it's anyway, let's talk quickly just before we're on hockey now. Let's shift quickly back to baseball.
Well, we should.
I
was just going to say we should, because you were talking about Kate and her refereeing ball hockey. And
yes,
can we please get this robot strike zone into effect immediately?
Well, dude, yeah, you're talking about the fiasco the other night with Manoah, who had a greasy outing. But some of it, I'll agree that it was being propped up by some bad calls. It was a bad strike zone. And how about Pete Walker getting taught? That was outrageous. Like, the umpire went out there because he wanted to toss somebody. And, like, you're not supposed to go out there.
Pete wanted him to toss him. There's no question in my mind. Pete didn't look at him. Pete didn't talk to him. And Pete was saying things, and I'm sure it was directed towards the umpire, and the umpire heard it.
I guarantee he went to Manoah and said, look, I know this guy's giving you a brutal zone. You've got to calm down. And the umpire overheard it. My problem with it, though, is that you get a 30-second mound visit. The umpire's only supposed to approach the mound when there's 10 seconds left. He went out there immediately. He didn't give Walker any privacy with his guy. And I know that might sound silly to people too, but that is the rule. Like, the umpire's supposed to start walking out there at 10 seconds to ensure that it stops at 30 and then toss someone if necessary. He was out there within 0.5 seconds. It was a joke. And the strike zone was a joke too. Speaking of strike zones, though, and someone who is definitely not a joke, congrats to our buddy Jim Cressman, retiring from umpiring. We had him on a little while ago, and he had mentioned that he was going to hang it up at some point this summer, and he officially has. And just congrats to Jim. He's one of the friends of the show, dedicated his life to the sport of baseball, particularly behind the plate. And what a great career. And he umpired a lot of huge events, big tournaments, saw a lot of great ball players, and congrats to Jim. I wish it had been him behind the dish the other night. Alek Manoah might have gotten some decent calls.
Yeah, well, he was a fill-in, right? He got a call to fill in anyway during the strike back in the 1950s. When was that? No, he's not that.
It was not the 50s.
We're
trying to be nice to our friend
I'm kidding, Jim. No, congratulations. A long-time junior hockey guy as well in London. And he was. I never saw him ump. He never had the pleasure of kicking me out of a game. Only got kicked out of one game in my coaching career, so I did pretty well.
I'm shocked by that.
For the most part, I treated the umps pretty well. I really did. I did. I do respect them, but sometimes they get on your nerves.
Well, and that was the talking point the other night at the game where the Jays, of course, got blown up by the Padres and Manoah. Oof. Tough one after that. Real positive comeback in Detroit. He throws 92 pitches in three innings. That's
tough.
Man. And it's a feel thing. He has lost feel for his slider in particular. He cannot throw that thing for strikes. And as a result of that, he can't get swings and misses on a breaking ball, and he can't set up his fastball. He can't attack guys inside because he loses confidence in his release point on that slider. And then when he is basically behind an account, which he was a lot, the first 4 batters he saw, Clarkey, full counts. That's not a good way to start off a ball game. And when you get behind and have to throw a fastball, essentially, your confidence is so low that you can't attack people with the fastball. You have to place it in the strike zone to try and get a prayer of a whiff. And that's not what you like. That's not what sets you up.
And the surprising thing, and not to shame anybody, but I just kind of thought he would have come back in a little bit better shape, because with this pitch clock now, you got to work harder and faster, and it's harder on bigger guys. And we'll see what happens when Hyunjin Ryu comes back as well, because it looks like he's coming right around the corner, and hopefully will help, but I'm not a big fan.
Well, apparently he could be. I saw Keegan Matheson, who is the MLB.com reporter for the Jays and owner of a tremendous beard, by the way. We're working on getting Keegan on the show. We got to get him on the show. I heard that apparently through him, Ryu might be ready to pitch as soon as August, maybe even just before the deadline, which is unbelievable. But let's also keep in mind that before he got hurt and had this terrible Tommy John injury to his elbow, he was not good. His last number of starts, he had over a 6 ERA.
Yep.
Coming off a year where he finished 3rd in Cy Young voting. So it's a very tenuous double-edged sword with Hyunjin Ryu, if you will. However, if you're relying on history, one would think that he would come back motivated and pitch really, really well, because location is what his game's all about. Now, that said, I just think that they brought Manoah up too quickly. Yes, he had that great game against the Tigers. I'm not being disrespectful here. It's the Tigers. And I think
the Padres aren't exactly the Padres aren't exactly ripping the world on fire either.
They aren't as a team, but that lineup is full of extremely deadly hitters, many of whom are underperforming, including Juan Soto. But you look down that lineup, and compared to the Tigers, like you're looking at Machado, Ha-Seong Kim, Soto, like you're Cronenworth, who's having an abysmal year. Generally, they are a very, very good team, and they showed it in the opener of that series. I think it's solidified that they have to go get a bottom of the rotation starter. This Marcus Stroman talk, I would be in favor of it, but his exit from Toronto wasn't exactly pretty. I don't think that has to matter now. I mean, the guy's got a ridiculous ERA. He is pitching unbelievably well. And I think that if they did acquire him, he would slot in right behind Kevin Gausman. He's having that good a year. He is dominant when he steps on the bump for the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
I'd support it. I don't think they need it, because look at the Jays' strength, like we talked about in that segment, or I talked about with Rob Longley. The pitching is their strength. Their bullpen is playing out of their minds. They need to go get another bullpen arm, and Liam Hendricks would be pretty nice. But
former Jay,
I don't think. Yes, absolutely, and he would come back and be a great story, motivated on a club in the.
They could bring two guys back then. Bring Stroman and Hendricks in, two ex-Jays. Bring them both.
Why
in.
not?
Yeah, why not? Stroman was a fan favorite. I know his exit here wasn't great, but he was a fan favorite.
He was a good pitcher, man.
Oh, for sure,
he was a good pitcher, and he's even better now.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Even better.
Exactly. I would like
a confident guy.
Before we go on to anything else, I just wanted to mention, and not to change the mood and somber things up, but a good buddy of ours, good buddy of mine, Bob McCowan, suffered a stroke.
Yeah, man.
And is recovering and recuperating. But just best wishes out to Bob. I spent many a night at Skydome with Bob, watching the Jays in their World Series years up in sightlines at Skydome. We had our little perch up there. We used to do a pregame show there, and then we would watch the game there and do a postgame show. We would get delivered as much Haagen-Dazs as we wanted, which was not good for my girly figure, but best wishes to Bob, and hope for a speedy recovery to Bob.
Absolutely. The Bobcat himself, believe he did just recently leave the hospital and is back home, which is great to hear. A legend, the legend of legends in terms of sports broadcasting in this country, man, particularly on the radio side of things. And he's a friend of the program, and we're definitely pulling for him. There's no one better, good news
ever in this country. No, there's no one ever as good as he at sports radio in this country ever.
And the style too, like he had like an aura about him, and you could feel it through the radio. Like when they started televising his show, it was more evident, like the sunglasses, the whole demeanor. Like it's very rare that like you can feel somebody's presence through the radio waves, and he's a guy that certainly exuded that, and he's a legend because of it. And on a show we used to host, he gave us he almost gave us 2 hours of his time. Like he's a giving guy. He's given a lot to the industry in this country, and we're all hoping for good outcomes and good things and good vibes for Bob. So well said, sure. Well brought up.
Yep.
Let's shift our focus away from the bright lights of the Rogers Center and talk a little bit about, more bright lights in Toronto. Ryan O'Reilly's comments the other day with our buddy Aaron Karolnek. We're going to have to bug him to come back on the program here and maybe dissect what him and Carlo thought of this on First Up the other day. Basically asking him, what he thought of some of Treliving's comments about the fishbowl and the bright lights, and some guys don't like it. And he didn't deny that might have played a factor into him leaving for Nashville, but he didn't exactly, full scale confirm it either. But he did say, that Nashville was a place that was a little more preferential to him. What were your thoughts when you heard those comments, Clarkey, from a guy that everybody, including yourself, was very excited about acquiring?
Oh, for sure. I was definitely excited about him when they got him, and I wish they had been able to re-sign him. It sounds like, from all the media pundits, saying that they did offer him what Nashville basically gave him when he signed there. Hey, you know what? Some people just don't like the spotlight. Some people don't like walking down the street and not being able to have a minute to yourself. Some people don't like that, and you can't blame a guy for that. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not in the inside when it comes to that, but he's going to be able to go to Nashville and walk down the street with a cowboy hat on and not be noticed. He really will not be noticed. I mean, Kyle Davidson is first one to, he was interviewed on the street there, the GM in Chicago, by a guy who had no idea who he was. And he was in the media.
That was a pretty funny interview. If you don't know what Clarkey's talking about, Google that. Like they're doing NHL. I think it was for NHL.com, and like they were doing
even crazier.
They're doing press for the draft, and there's Kyle Davidson looking very unassuming. Like he's not got a suit on or anything. He just looks like some dude coming out of a pub, and and he gets interviewed. I loved my favorite part of the interview was that when the guy asked Davidson what his hockey knowledge was, Davidson goes, "Well, I didn't play professionally. I would say my knowledge out of 10 is about a 4. I'm like, dude, you're a GM in the.
He was egging him on. He was egging him on. It was a fun little segment. So yeah, Google that. But Ryan O'Reilly will be able to walk down the streets. He'll be able to go into a bar and maybe he'll even play his guitar and sing for people because apparently
he'll be on the third floor at Tootsie's. No question. He'll be at Tootsie's.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of other places too. But anyway, he'll have fun. And good on him. We'll see what happens. But it was fun while it lasted with his broken finger.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did play well and did make an impact when he was in the lineup.
100% he did.
So obviously the story of the Leafs offseason, which, we dug into it a lot last week with our good buddy Dark Guy, but it continues to be contracts. And as we record this segment, it is Wednesday, July 19th. And earlier on this day, the arbitration filing was made official by Ilya Samsonov and his representatives and the Toronto Maple Leafs countering. Samsonov filing for $4.9 million and the Leafs filing at 2.4 for those mathematicians out there, of which I am not one. That is a $2.5 million difference, which tells me, Clarkey, that generally in these ARB cases, the ruling tends to fall somewhere maybe left or right of the middle. I think he's going to get 3.25. I certainly don't think he's going to get the high end of that.
No way.
If he got 4, would you be disappointed with that?
Yeah.
Would you be disappointed if he got 4?
Yeah. He's not a $4 million goalie. Let's be honest. Let's win some games.
Well, geez, for all the praise of the
I knew you
we're so happy to have Samsonov.
I know you're right, but and the Leafs said that all the time.
Won't give him 4,
didn't they? Nah, we got to run because we got some other business to take care of here. We got a break, but let's just the team went in low, the player went in high. They'll end up, I think, around 3.5. We'll see.
Yeah, 3.5. I'm going to say 3.25. He's going to get 3.25.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take
maybe
a quick break.
Maybe he can walk. He can walk, right?
He could if the Leafs don't want to sign it, he would become, if I'm not mistaken, he'd become a UFA. Yeah, because he's an RFA, which is why he's filing.
As far as I know, and this came right from the mouth of the GM of the Listowel Cyclones, Trent McClement. There is another buyout window for teams that have players in ARB, so they can get out of contract. So we'll see what happens after this signing is done. If they buy out Matt Murray or even TJ Brody, we'll see what happens.
TJ Brody, no. Matt Murray, maybe, because apparently, based on what we're all reading online, it's like impossible to trade this guy. And who can blame teams? God, even Arizona doesn't want him. Arizona State doesn't want Matt Murray.
You got to think Pittsburgh might take him, but
I don't think so. Kyle got burned once, so even he.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that.
I don't think so.
Anyway.
All right, we'll take a quick break.
Real quick before we go.
Yes,
you just go on to TikTok and look at Dangle's little thread. Did you guys watch it? I sent it to you. It was the funniest thing.
I saw it when he posted it.
It's so funny. Anyway, do yourself a favor. Look at the what is it?
Old man Dangle.
Old man Dangle. It's awesome.
It's pretty funny, and something that sadly, I hope it's not the case. Sadly, I can see it coming true.
Yeah, exactly.
The poor guy. We'll be right back to wrap things up on Instigating. Welcome back. Wrapping things up here on Instigating with Clarkey and Drury this week. Ryan Drury, Clarkey, thanks again to our buddy Rob Longley chatting about the Blue Jays, Sun beat reporter for the Jays. We're pleased to wrap the show up here. It's the Open. It's the Open this week. You know what that means. It's time to make some golf picks with our guy. It's Ian Doig, pro golfer, the Ian Doig Golf Academy. What's up, Doigy?
What's going on, boys? Just had a good day of golf at the Hamilton Golf and Country Club. So it was a fun day.
Nice.
Absolutely. Well, we love to hear that. And you had high praise for the course too. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah. Great golf course. They've done some great changes here. Very quickly, in my opinion, it's number 1 in Ontario.
Oh, Wow. You heard it there from the pro himself. You got to check that out.
Well, next week we're going to be at number 2. Tangle Creek. Is that number 2 or what?
Number 2 on some lists. Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to be there next week. A little tease. We're going to get some lessons.
It's going to be a special episode.
It'll be fun. But let's get to the picks. Let's get right into this.
Let's do it quickly.
It's called the Open.
It's the Open, and I finished last in the U.S. Open pick, so I once again am bestowed the number 1 pick. And as much as I don't want to do this,
you're doing it. We know you're picking them. So pick them.
Hold on. Who finished first at the U.S. Open?
Shut up.
You did.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I think he knew that.
You did. So as much as I don't want to do this,
it
pains me when I pick him.
Why?
And he doesn't show up.
Then don't pick him.
It's been 9 years since he won. However, the last time he won this tournament, it was at this golf course.
Yep.
And after a stellar comeback performance to steal the Scottish Open, I have to take Rory McIlroy. Come on, Rory.
Wow, go way out on a limb there.
Right? Exactly.
I have to do it.
Exactly.
I'll hate it if he doesn't perform well, but if he does, and God forbid he wins, which we would all like to see after 9 years, I'll kick myself if I didn't pick him. Clarkey, number 2.
Well, I'm going off the board because I don't like to pick the obvious.
I can't stand it when you do this.
I don't like obvious guys, but there's a guy I've loved for a long time. I just like his demeanor. I like his squeaky voice, and he's from Justin Rose. I'm going with Justin Rose as my first pick. I just think the Europeans are going to do well over there.
I don't hate that.
I like
actually.
Justin Rose, so he's my first pick.
I don't hate that either.
Adam,
that's a pretty good pick.
I hope Adam's
Doigy, back-to-back picks.
All right, so I'm going to kind of be a little obvious here. I pick him a lot. I think he's just a stellar player, and he's been playing good this year. I'm going to go with Brooks Koepka as my number 1 pick.
I like that.
Terrible pick.
My second pick, not really off the board. He's been playing really well of late, and I actually think that he's ready to break through, and I really like the guy a lot. I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh, I like that pick too, Doig.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
You guys I wanted. Okay, back to Clarkey.
Well, the guy you want to pick, Ryan, will be available. I can tell you that much. Because the guy you were going to pick is not the guy I'm going to pick.
Great.
But the guy I'm picking is a guy who had a great week last week. Another guy who's local. His name is Robert McIntyre. Write him down and read him and weep.
Wow, I like that. That's an off the board one a little bit, and you're right. You didn't take my guy.
No, I know.
I'm glad you didn't because now it's back to me for back to back.
Yeah, you're gonna get Rory and John Rahm. You're gonna get both the big guys.
No,
we just lost your light.
John Rahm will not be my pick here. So buckle up. I like this guy because I also think he's ready to finally break through. Like Ian said about one of his picks, Mr. Koepka, eventually this guy is going to win a big one, and I think he has an opportunity to do it. I pick him a lot because I love Victor Hovland. So I will take Victor.
Hey, Victor.
And for my second pick, I got to take the Texan. I got to take Big Tex, and that's Scotty Scheffler, who's going to put it together off the tee this week. Scotty Scheffler and Hovland. Let's go.
Ian, can you believe Ryan could have had Rory, John Rahm, and Scotty Scheffler? Like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So John Rahm is still available, right? But I'm not picking him. I'm not picking him.
Okay. Good.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
You're
absolutely.
all good. Okay. You're all good.
Because now I'm through the radio because I had to turn on the car to get my light going.
So you're in a vehicle.
That's all good.
So we should talk.
Learn and use voice commands while driving. Please proceed to the highlighted route and then the route guidance.
Can you turn your GPS off?
I just turned it off. How about that?
Thanks.
Incredible.
And by the way, while we're talking about it, Larry Hudson's has some nice Colorados and Canyons coming in, and they're all redesigned. They're beautiful. If you're interested in one, come and see Clarkey. If you have a rep already, Go see who your sales rep is. But the Colorados and Canyons are beautiful. They're a mid-sized truck. They're not the big Sierra Silverados, but they're coming in all new, redesigned. They're a beautiful truck. Ian Doig would look.
Hudson's has it.
Okay, Hudson's has it.
What do you have?
I will look at one. I will look at one.
He's going to look at one. I know he is. I am picking. As you can see, there's a little theme in my picks, as there usually is. This kid played this course when he was 3 years old, and I'm not joking. His name is Matthew Jordan.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Look at that pick.
I've been watching, just by the way, I have fell in love the last 3 days with Sky Sports Golf.
Oh, it's so good.
It is unbelievably good. And they've been live on the range. They've been live on the driving range every morning this week. And the interviews they've had, the little games they play, they have a wheel that they touch the wheel and it comes up 6-iron. And then they touch another one and it goes 85 yards. So you got to hit a 6-iron 85 yards, and the guys are challenged to do that. All these, like Rory and everyone's coming in. Anyway, Matthew Jordan is my next pick.
There you go. Doigie back-to-back to wrap your selections up.
Okay, so do I understand correctly? Is Scotty Scheffler still on the board?
No, I took Scheffler, but
Scheffler.
Jonathan Rahm is
John
available.
Daly is available.
You know what? I'm gonna pick Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
You took my last guy.
He won't do anything, but that's fine.
And this is a little kind of off the board for me, I think.
Don't do it.
I'm going to pick, and the reason I'm picking this guy is because I don't think putting is going to be as important this week as ball striking. And I'm going to take Corey Connors.
Oh, he did it.
No, I wasn't picking him.
Corey.
I wasn't
we
picking him
Corey.
this week. I wasn't picking
Corey.
him. I just
That's
sucked
a
him
good
into
team.
picking him, though.
That's a good team for Doigie. Clarkey, rounded out for your picks.
Okay, so another guy. This guy's been around a long time. Ian's watched this guy for a long, long time. Always plays well over there. I love his voice too. Patty Harrington.
Wow. That is off the board pick right there.
All my picks are off the board. I'm either going to do great or I'm going to miss the cut. One or the other.
Yeah.
Patty Harrington. He seems like a real good guy too. I don't know if you know Patty, but he was so nice to the crew. I just picked guys who I fell in love with on Sky Sports this week.
There you go.
Awesome. Patty is a good guy. Patty is a good guy.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I'll round it out with another. I got to stick to my guns here. I got to stick to my guns.
You're going to get John Rahm. John Rahm's not going to get picked.
I can't do it.
Why not?
I can't do it.
Anyway.
I can't do it because I want to go with one of my guys. Because John Rahm, you know this. When John Rahm, starts slashing it around and has trouble in the first round, he can fall apart. He gets pretty hot-headed. Now,
Patrick?
No.
No,
can't do Cantlay.
Are you going with, no. Oh, he's going with Patrick Reed.
No, come on now. No,
not a chance. No,
I have to stick with my guy. I love Rick. I would love to pick him because I'm all about the creamsicle shirt. I love Ricky Fowler. I love that he's back on the scene, but I can't do that either. I'm sticking with my guy, Colin Morikawa.
I thought he was going to say Montgomery.
Yeah, how about that? That would be a shock. Morikawa to round out my picks. I love it. Gentlemen, I think we've all got good teams here. Well, me and Ian do anyway. And I think that it's going to be an interesting.
I'm telling you, you watch when McIntyre down 18. He just finished second to Rory in the Scottish Open. This kid is good.
If Patty Harrington wins this tournament, I will eat a shoe. I'll eat a golf shoe on camera. I swear to God.
I'm pulling for him.
Yeah, I bet you are.
All right. I know that we're out. Our segment's really short here tonight, but I just want to, if you guys will allow me to do this, give a shout out to my very, very good and close friend, Gary Koch, who was just announced yesterday as the winner of the 2023 Payne Stewart Award, which is a great award given away to professional golfers in America, and Gary was instrumental in me being a professional golfer, but me being who I am, and I just want to reach out and congratulate my very, very good friend Gary Koch on winning that award. It's a big deal.
Yes, congratulations.
Absolutely it is.
And
congrats
Doigie, next time you come on from your house, you got to get Gary on with you.
We got to get Gary.
We could do that. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. There we go.
That's a big deal. We're going to have that in the hopper,
deal.
Ladies and gentlemen. How about that?
Yeah,
Congrats to
fun.
Gary.
There we go. We can talk about Patty Harrington. He probably played with Patty.
For 100%, for sure. For sure, yeah. For sure.
There we go.
We're cutting Clarkey off, and that's the end of the show. You can watch this show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. For Rob Longley, our good buddy Ian Doig, I'm Ryan Drury. That's Clarkey. We will be back next week with a very special Instigating. Stay tuned.
Go Patty!